Hi YouTube. Today we are going to make cinnamon buns. I'm doing this in a KitchenAid mixer. That's my preference, just because I don't like kneading if I don't have to. So the first thing we're going to do is add 1 cup of warm milk. You don't want this hot and you don't want this cold, because this is going to be the item that activates your yeast. So we're going to dump that in with a package of yeast, or 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, which is a package. Now this is instant yeast, so you don't really need to wait for it to activate. It's going to do that all on its own. I have a 1/2 cup of sugar and a 1/3 cup of butter. And 2 eggs. So I'm just going to start my machine here. Get that going, get that butter incorporated a little bit. It'll start to melt a little bit with that warm milk. I also have 2 eggs, which I'm just going to whisk. And we'll add those right in. There will be a teaspoon of salt as well, but we're going to add that in once we start incorporating the flour. So I have 4 cups of flour. You might need more, you might need less. It all depends on your weather and climate and everything. So we'll just start adding that, and we'll see what kind of consistency we get on this. And I'll add that teaspoon of salt now. I am just going to scrape down my sides because it looks like my flour is just sitting there. Okay, so it's come together now. It's still a little bit wet. We are still going to have to add a little bit more flour, but I'll show you what that looks like. So I did have to use the full 4 cups of flour. Now, once it's come together, which it is now, this is what it's going to look like. So this is a little bit wetter than a bread dough. This will still stick to your fingers a little bit. It fell right to the bottom. You're going to want that to go a little bit more here. I will require more than 4 cups of flour today. Okay, so this has just come together. Again, it's going to be stickier than a bread dough. It will probably still stick to your fingers. I'm going to knead this now for 5 minutes. So once it has come together into a uniform substance, then you can knead that for 5 minutes, and I'll bring you back when that's done. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes and our dough is kneaded, and if I just pull this up here, you can see that it is a nice consistency. Again, it's a little tiny bit wetter than like a traditional bread dough, if you're familiar with that. So it will stick to your hands slightly more. So we're just going to turn this into a ball like this. Just bring those ends right in underneath. That'll smooth out your top. And here we're just going to spray a bowl with some non-stick spray. You could use oil, butter, whatever you have. And put that in there. That's going to rise. I just have a towel here I'm going to put right on top. That's going to rise in an oven with the light on for about an hour, and I'll bring you back once we roll that out. Okay, so our dough has risen quite a bit. That's been about an hour, so we're just going to roll this out here. I don't ever do a floured surface. It doesn't seem to stick. Now you can roll this out with a rolling pin. I have had good success just patting it out like this into a rectangular shape. Just gonna just push that out. Like I said, if you want it a little thinner, you can do a rectangle rectangle shape and roll it out with a rolling pin or a wine bottle or whatever you have to roll things out with. Okay. And you're probably looking for I don't know, a quarter of an inch to a half an inch thick. Okay, so then I am going to now brush this with butter. So I just have a couple tablespoons, maybe 3, of melted butter, and I'm just going to brush this on. Okay. I'm probably going to use the whole amount. Can't go wrong with butter. Okay, then I have about a cup of brown sugar, which I am going to just sprinkle on or pour on. Just use your hands and flatten that out. Try to be as even as you can so when you roll it up. I like to leave a little bit of a gap here on this side because that's going to be your end, so you're going to want that to stick. Okay. And sorry, I'm just going to rinse my hand off here. Probably 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I like a little bit more than less, so some people don't, so I would say your taste will guide you, but you don't want to be too heavy-handed because cinnamon can get bitter, but I'd say 2 or 3 teaspoons. Okay, now we're just going to roll this. Try to be as tight as you can because it's just helpful when you roll it. So just kind of pull back and pinch at the same time and get that into a... Now here's that side. You can just wrap that up then and it should stick right on the top there. Okay. Now I like to cut mine with dental floss. I have a dental floss that stays in my kitchen specifically for this purpose, and that's just the easiest way. So we're going to cut this in half, or what looks like half, and we'll probably do 6 on each side. Get under there. There we go. I got 5 on this side. See if you guys can see that over there. I got 5 on each side, so that's good. And I'm just gonna bake these off on a Silpat on a cookie sheet. Okay, so these are now going to sit in the lighted oven again for about half an hour. Let them rise one more time, and then you're going to bake these off at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Just watch them, keep your eye on them. When they're golden brown, they're done.